When did kindness become the biggest mistake you ever made in life? For most of my life, people knew exactly who to call whenever they needed help. Need someone to stay late? I was there. Need someone to cover another shift? I never said no. Need someone to fix a problem nobody else wanted? I handled it. I believed being dependable would eventually come back to me. That's how I was raised. Treat people well, work hard, and life rewards you. So for 5 years at Davidson Media, I gave the company everything. I arrived before everyone else and usually left last. Whenever deadlines became overwhelming, I helped my teammates finish their work. On stressful days, I'd even buy coffee for the team. My manager, Diane, regularly presented my ideas as her own. Whenever I questioned it, she'd say it sounded better coming from management. I convinced myself it wasn't worth arguing. Then my father became seriously ill. His chemotherapy treatments meant he needed someone to drive him twice a week. I asked Diane if I could work from home 2 days a week. She reluctantly agreed, but only temporarily. Grateful for the chance, I worked even harder. Dad's treatment was supposed to last 6 months, but after only 3, Diane called me into her office. She said the arrangement wasn't working anymore. The team supposedly needed me in person every day. I reminded her my father was only halfway through treatment. He couldn't drive himself, and there was no one else. She simply stared until I finally whispered, "I understand." I burned through my savings hiring drivers for Dad. I barely slept. I constantly worried about him. Yet every morning, I still showed up before almost everyone else. Then came the Maxwell project. Landing that client could transform the company. For weeks, I handled the research, strategy, presentation, and mock-ups. I even skipped one of Dad's chemo appointments to finish everything. The day before the presentation, Diane asked to review my work. I handed her every file, including my presentation notes. The next morning, I arrived early, excited to present. Instead, Diane was already inside using my slides. She repeated my words almost exactly. Every idea, every solution, every bit of research. It was all mine. She noticed me and smiled. "Jennifer, could you grab coffee for everyone?" One client looked at me and asked, "Weren't you supposed to present?" Before I could answer, Diane said, "No, this is my project. Jennifer only helped with research." So I brought the coffee. Then I stood silently while everyone praised my work under someone else's name. The clients loved it. They signed a 3-year contract, the biggest in company history. Diane received a bonus. She earned a promotion. I received a $50 Starbucks gift card. That evening, Dad called. He had fallen after getting out of a taxi and lay on the ground for 20 minutes before a neighbor found him. I couldn't stop thinking if I had been there. 2 days later, the company celebrated the Maxwell deal. Diane accepted an award and announced she'd lead a new division. Then she introduced her first hire, Ryan. He'd been with the company only 6 months and hadn't contributed anything meaningful. Everyone applauded. Then Diane looked at me. "Jennifer, I need those quarterly reports by the end of today. I know I can count on you." Something inside me finally broke. 5 years of saying yes. 5 years of sacrificing time with my sick father. 5 years of watching someone else take credit for my work. 5 years of believing kindness would eventually be rewarded. I quietly walked into the restroom and stared at my reflection. My hands were shaking. I barely recognized the woman looking back at me. That was the exact moment I realized being nice wasn't changing my life anymore. It was destroying it.